You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. Tonight's episode is brought to you by AETI, Case Financial Group, Evolve Green, as well as Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy and Toby Hockey. We got a great guest lineup in store for you all tonight. No Seth's Inside Scoop tonight, as well as no Hawks Report. Still figuring out what to do with the Hawks Report, and Seth is away on vacation right now. So it's going to be great to have Seth back at some point here. Going to be interesting to see what we will be doing with the Seth's Inside Scoop segments, since there's not much hockey left to be covered here on the network this year. But we'll figure something out for sure. But the three people joining tonight's edition of Coffee with Graeme are going to be Blair Mooney, first off, of the St. James Jr Canucks. He is the head coach of that team in the MMJHL. His team ended up finishing first place in the whole MMJHL this season. In the regular season, they are set to take on the Charleswood Hawks in the first round of the playoffs. Since Charleswood finished in the last playoff spot, it'll be a best-of-7 series for all rounds, so should be exciting times in the MMJHL. Can't wait to talk to Blair about the upcoming playoff matchup, as well as how his team was able to do what they were able to do this season by getting first place. I'm also going to be talking to a Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy U15 prep male defenseman tonight in Landen May. He's from Campbell River, BC, and he joined this U15 squad late for the Buffaloes, so it's going to be exciting to find out the reason why Landen chose to go to Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy, as well as talking about the games that he's been able to play in this season, as well as their team gearing up for their upcoming playoff games this weekend. And also going to have David Zammit, ASTV Productions color commentator, on the show tonight. He does color for the Swift Current Wildcats games in the Saskatchewan U18, the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League. I am currently getting a message here from David. And just clarifying how he will be joining the show coming up later on in tonight's episode. But yeah, David will be coming on the show to talk about Swift Current, their first round matchup in the quarterfinals best-of-5 series against the Battlefords Sharks, coming up later on in the show. But yeah, David is a ASTV Productions color commentator for Swift Current, the games that we cover for them, their home games, as they play in the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League. So gonna be great to have David on to end off tonight's show as the guest, and then I'm also going to be ending off tonight's show with an edition of League Report, just updating you all on the leagues that I've been talking about here for a while on that segment here on the show. But we got Blair Mooney in the broadcast studio now. We're going to get him on in just a moment here. You're watching Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions, folks. Once this intro hits, it's time to start the show. So with this first interview with Blair Mooney, head coach of the St. James Jr Canucks in the MMJHL, here on Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Joining me now on Coffee with Graeme is Blair Mooney, head coach for the St. James Jr Canucks in the MMJHL. Blair, congratulations to you and your team for being able to have a phenomenal season this year in the MMJHL, finishing in first place, going 37-4-4 on the season, clinching first place this year, setting up a first-round matchup with the Charleswood Hawks. I mean, to be riding an 11-game win streak heading into playoffs, seeing the success this team has had this season, must feel pretty good about where this team is at right now heading into the first playoff series.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been on a little bit of a run to finish the season here, so but just pretty excited to get the playoffs going, because it's been obviously a long regular season, and with no playoffs in 2 years now. Basically, everybody's kind of itching to get back at it. So excited to get going.
Now that playoffs are on the horizon, I mean, you guys start off your first game tomorrow of that series. Does it feel like the excitement is heading into a level that even you as a coaching staff, you and the coaches might have not seen because it has been so long?
Yeah, I would say that we've the last time we were in playoffs was the 2018-19 season. So the guys on our team that are 21 now, that was their 18-year-old year. So puts into perspective how long it's been since we've had playoffs, right? It's guys that were rookies and now they're the guys on their way out. So we had our last practice before playoffs start yesterday, and boys are excited and the tempo was high and stuff. So I think everybody's kind of itching to get back into some meaningful hockey here.
Of course, this team this season, just taking a look at the stats, most goals for out of any team with 236, second least goals against with 127, top three in both power play and penalty kill percentage. But just in terms of all the years that you've been able to coach this organization, winning coach of the year back in, I believe it was 2015, 16, something like that. But you've had a chance to coach some talented players. How does this team stack up to the teams you've coached before during your time with St. James?
Yeah, it's a special group for sure. I mean, we've always been fortunate to have some pretty good teams and be kind of in that top half of the league and finish with home ice advantage. But this year's clearly been different. I mean, we've been filling the net, scoring a ton of goals, and we're getting it from lots of different places. I think we ended up having 3, guys score over 30 goals. And when you score over 30 in a 45 game season, I mean, you put that into perspective, that's like if you play an 82 game season, that's like scoring like 60 goals, right? So I mean, it's the guys are a few guys filling the net, and so a couple key players on the back end for us too that are putting up some big offensive numbers while limiting what the other team can do. So we've had some good teams in the past for sure. This team's pretty special though. I mean, it's the consistency we've been able to have in terms of scoring goals and keeping it out of our net. Obviously, that's how you win games, and it's something we've been fortunate to do quite a bit of this season. So hopefully that can continue in the playoffs.
Yeah, like 3 goals that put that puck in the net over 30 times this year. 8 players in total with over 10 goals. Just the big factor. I mean, having depth, you got to have it to do good in any hockey league and to be able to go far. Just to know that you guys are able to have this depth, not just relying on those 30 goal scorers, but as well as those other guys that have potted over 10 goals this season. Must be nice to have that luxury as a coach and stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We have the fortune of being able to put out roll out 4 really good lines up front and 6 good defense. Plus it's a year where we've got so much depth. We've got pretty good players that we can carry more than 12 forwards and 6D. So we've got guys that are either injured or healthy scratched and stuff like that. So our depth, like when one guy goes out, we got another guy who can step in and fill in offensively. And yeah, we've been able to have a lot of balance in our lines. Like we don't have one line that we throw out and we just need them to score. Like if we have a night where one line doesn't seem to be getting much going, the other 2 or 3 seem to pick it up for them. So it's a good luxury to have as a coach for sure.
In terms of power play percentage, 23.3% on the power play this year, ranking first in the league. Just talk about what made this special teams unit, this power play when this team had the man advantage, as special as it was to be able to finish first in terms of percentage out of all the rest of the teams in the league.
Yeah, we've as the years gone on, we've kind of fine-tuned some things for sure. And when the year started, you're just kind of figuring out personnel-wise who's going to go where and who gels with who the best, and the type of power play we like to run, like who fits well in each spot. And you got to figure out right-handers and left-handers and stuff like that as well. So when it takes a bit of time to get that organized, but obviously spending lots of time on it in practice and doing some video and with the guys, and the biggest thing is that the guys are willing to do what we're trying to show them, right? So you show them something, they seem to think that or agree that it might work, and then they go out, and the skill level that we have is pretty high. So you give them some ideas and a couple things on that we think who should go where and stuff like that, and they've got the creativity to make the plays. So it all comes down to those guys executing. But as the year went on, we saw the percentage like start to go up because the stuff we were trying to work on really seemed to click in. So again, hopefully that continues because special teams are going to be big in the playoffs. So
must make a coach's job that much easier when you're able to give out these ideas that can work, but to be able to have that talent to pull it off. Like I said, must make the job seem a bit more simpler out there as a coach when you have that much talent out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's some guys that obviously can make some plays that I wish I could make when I was playing. So they when they're able to do it, and when you just give them an idea and say, hey, try this or try that, and they're willing to do it, it makes it's a big help for sure.
Not only was this team the top offensive team in the league, but one of the best teams defensively in terms of goals allowed, 127 goals allowed, second least out of any team in the league. Obviously having a solid decor, but having the type of goaltending you guys had, highlighted by Noah Gibson. I mean, to be able to have that much confidence and putting him out there as much as you guys did, and also having pretty solid goaltending overall, must have given the team a lot of confidence this season to have a guy like Noah back there and the rest of the goaltending crew.
Yeah, our goalies have been awesome for us this year, and we got Noah and Liam. They've both been solid. Liam as not playing as many games as Noah did, but he ended up, I think Liam finished the year like 14-0, and then Noah played the rest of the games and had a pretty good record himself. But you try to get the guys to buy into playing like a 5-man defense, right? It's not just your defenseman, but forwards got to dig in and do the right things in our zone as well. So they've been, as the years gone on, we saw those numbers drop, and in terms of goals against and stuff like that. But there's going to be the odd game here or there where you're going to leak and give up some chances, and that's what your goalie's there for, right? Is to bail those guys out. Like the D are there to bail out the forwards, and the goalie's there to bail out the D. So if everybody's kind of helping each other out, it seems to work. And again, like when you got guys that have the talent to score goals, we also have two goalies that are very talented at keeping out of the net. So
yeah, and obviously a lot of talent on that D-core, players that can play both ways from forward to defense as well coming back. Just talk about the consistency that you felt you guys saw out there as a coaching staff this year of how this team was able to play in the defensive zone.
Yeah, I mean, we've been pretty consistent all year. I mean, one big thing we talk about a lot is, I mean, everybody would rather play in the offensive zone, right? So, I mean, in order to do that, you got to play in your zone less. And if you're doing the right things defensively, you're not going to have to do them as often. So that's one thing we try to preach to the guys is, hey, if you want to play in the offensive zone, then do the right things in our zone, and we don't have to be there that much. So, and they seem to have bought into that for the most part. So.
Well, when this team has gotten into penalty trouble, they've been able to kill off a lot of the penalties that they've had. 83.3% on the PK this year when the team has taken penalties, ranking third highest percentage in the league in that category. Obviously having a good power play, top of the league, but also nice complementing that to go along with it, a pretty solid PK out there as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, we for a while we were one of the higher penalized teams in the league, so we needed to work at it and dig ourselves out of a lot of situations. But at the start of the year, our penalty kill was struggling, and it was something we spent a lot of time working on, and again doing video and trying to look at other teams' tendencies and stuff. But the biggest thing with penalty kills, it comes down to work ethic and the willingness to block shots and dig in on face-offs and stuff. So you can X's and O's are a bit of a part of it, but the biggest thing is guys just taking pride in killing the penalties and picking each other up. Like if one guy takes a penalty, then your teammates got to want to kill it for you, right? So again, they've done a pretty good job as the year's gone on. That's something we've been happy with. It really improved. So hopefully that trend keeps trending in the right direction.
an 11-game win streak heading into the playoffs. This team, no stranger to streaks this year. There was a bigger streak you guys went on earlier on in the season before this 11-game win streak happened. But to see this team be able to play their best hockey after dropping a few games after that win streak originally ended, I mean, to have this new one start up 11 games heading into the playoffs, what have you noticed from the group to see that consistency of being able to get 11 wins in a row in these last 11?
Yeah, I mean, we went on a bit of a heater there in the middle of the year. I think it was 14 in a row, and kind of launched ourselves up to first. We were in a battle there for first for quite a while with Transcona, and then we had a big game with them, and then they won that game. So it was almost good to get a bit of a reality check that at some point we were going to lose a game, and how would we respond from it. And then there was a few games there where we kind of went back and forth for about 6 games where we'd win a couple and lose one, win a couple, lose one, and we needed to get back onto a streak. And a lot of that is like kind of middle of the season games. Every game is meaningful, but when you're kind of in the dog days and it's the middle of January, sometimes it becomes a bit of a chore coming to the rink. So getting through that reasonably well was something that was good for us. And then as the intensity started to ramp up, and we saw that in this last win streak, it was all about clinching first place, right? So that was something that was important to the guys, important to us as a coaching staff. So it was good to see that when we had a little bit of adversity in some of those games, we were able to battle through it and accomplish a goal of finishing first. And then once we did clinch first, we had about 3 or 4 games left. I think it was 4. And then just trying to keep good habits and stuff going into playoffs. So that was the focus, and it turned out well. So
this team being awarded with the Art Moug Trophy for the regular season champions this season. Obviously, when you are at the top, every team wants to beat you. I mean, there's some really good teams in this league besides yourselves, like Transcona, Pembina Valley, and the Vics finishing in the top 4. But a pretty competitive league this season. Obviously, knowing that you guys are the top dogs, how does that motivate the boys, knowing that everyone's going to be coming for them and they just gotta keep playing their game to be able to stay on top?
Yeah, it was something that we had talked about kind of in the back half of the year once we had reached first place, and we were in front of Transcona by a couple points, and they were still kind of hot on our heels. But we had like you talk about when you're playing a 7th, 6th, 7th, 8th place team, like those are the teams that they're kind of using us as a measuring stick, right? So you have to be ready to have every team you're playing, you're going to get their best. Like there's not going to be too many off nights. So we learned the lesson the hard way a couple times there at the end of January, but overall we were able to get some good consistency in our game that led to us being able to hang on to that spot. But there's some really good teams. We've had tight games all year long with everybody, not just the top teams. I mean, even the teams near the bottom of the standings, they get up for their opportunity to play you, right? So we've been in that situation in past years when you're chasing a team and you got to have your best. So we tried to put the shoe on the other foot this year, and so far it's worked out well.
Facing off against the Charleswood Hawks in round 1 here, Coach. They finished 8th place in the league. Charleswood finishing with a 19-25-1 record. Game 1 going tomorrow. What's going to be the mindset for this team heading into game 1 and really throughout this first playoff round series, trying to get off on the right foot, trying to advance to the next round?
Yeah, we had a team meeting last night at the end of practice, and just the focus is just taking everything one game at a time, right? You don't want to think too far ahead, but you got to respect who you're playing. We have a pretty good idea of a game plan we want to put forth. So it's all about executing that and being sharp on special teams. And the biggest thing is one shift, one period, one game at a time. Like you can't kind of stress that enough. I mean, there's going to be highs and lows throughout the playoffs. You're going to get up by a couple. You're going to be down and have to chase a game at some point. So kind of about keeping it even keel. And we want to keep that swagger we've had for a lot of the year, right? We finished where we did for a reason. So we want to be confident, but you don't want to be looking past anybody or looking too far ahead. So one game at a time is the focus. And so we'll try to take care of business tomorrow night and then see where it goes from there.
Well, playoffs for the St. James Jr Canucks starting off tomorrow. I was joined by head coach of that team in Blair Mooney. Blair, best of luck to the squad coming up in this first playoff round. And as far as this team potentially makes it, thanks for coming on the show tonight. You take care.
All right. Thanks a lot.
And always great to talk to some folks from the MMJHL, of course. Playoffs starting off for them actually tonight. Playoffs have already started. There's only one game happening tomorrow. It's the St. Vital Junior Victorias at home. Down 3-2 in the first period here, or maybe after the first period, to the Raiders Junior Hockey Club. The St. Vital Junior Victorias finishing in fourth place this season, facing off against the fifth place team in that first round best of 7 matchup in the quarterfinals in the MMJHL. More to talk about in the MMJHL coming up later in this episode. But when we get back from the commercial break, let's see if the sound is working this time with this next guest, Landen May. Let's see if we can finally get him on the show here and ask him about his time in Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy this season so far, playing for the U15 Prep Male Buffaloes. You're watching Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Stick around for more after the commercial break, everybody.
Why go solar? Solar is better than ever. Our revolutionary design and inverter equipment with the latest in solar panel technology for the ultimate in-home and business security. That's right, I said security. Grid security and security of your home are linked. Fortify your future today with a battery backup system. No maintenance. Quiet running. Did you know in Manitoba, grid-connected, off-grid, and battery backup systems are 100% right off in the year you purchase for any company or farm? Do you want to back up your internet, keep your tills running, and the lights on? We can install a system that is right for you, with battery backup fully capable of taking on all those essential loads and keeping you running. When you call our experts at Evolve Green, ask about getting your free energy audit today. Call or email today to find out what system works best for you. 1-866-5EVOLVE or support@evolvegreen.ca. Also, be sure to check out our website at www.evolvegreen.ca.
Welcome back to Coffee with Graeme, everybody. David Zammit will be joining the show later on here tonight as the third and final guest. But Blair Mooney just joined the show, head coach of the St. James Jr Canucks in the MMJHL, to talk about the team's season in the regular season, being crowned as regular season champions. They're getting set to face off against the Charleswood Hawks in game 1 of their first round quarterfinals best of 7 series tomorrow in the playoffs. So the Canucks looking to start their playoffs off strong tomorrow against Charleswood. But yeah, welcome back to the show, everybody. It's time now to talk to a Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy player. This player from the U15 program for the Buffaloes. It is Landen May. Landen, how's the sound sounding tonight, man?
It's sounding pretty good right now. Thank you.
Okay, good. Did not want another technical difficulty. Great to finally be able to talk to you, man. You're from Campbell River, BC. You're a defenseman for this team. You joined this team late. What ended up happening for you to be able to join this U15 program as late as this season?
Well, our captain, Bo Murray, our parents are really good friends. So his dad just talked to my dad, and then we emailed the coach, and then he wanted us on the team. So here I am.
Right on. Obviously Bo Murray has been one of, if not the best player for this team this season. How nice has it been to be able to play with a close friend this season for as many games as you have with Bo so far?
It's been very nice. We've been pretty close for a few years, so it's very nice to play with a friend down here in Manitoba.
What's your experience been like so far, moving away from Campbell River, BC to play here in small town Pilot-Mound? Obviously the season coming to an end soon with playoffs on the horizon. Those will be over before we know it, but what's that experience been like for you so far with this academy in small town Pilot-Mound, Manitoba?
I'm getting pretty used to it. It's a pretty nice, experience and stuff. It's nice being pretty far away home, playing an amazing sport like that. So yeah, it's pretty nice.
What was it like, getting to bond with this group at first? Obviously, you knew Bo coming in, but what was it like getting to get to know the rest of the team?
The team's pretty nice. Yeah, I like them, but it was just like an instant click. First practice, we were all friends and all that, communicating and all that. Yeah.
Right on. Must feel pretty special when you're able to get that instant connection like you did.
Yeah.
Right on, right on. Well, taking a look at some other stuff here, just the experience of playing academy hockey, CSSHL level of hockey. What's it been like adjusting to that level of play so far?
It's been very tough coming from just playing single A my entire life, so it's a very big jump for me. Still getting kind of used to it, but I think I'm competing up there.
What have you found has been the biggest adjustment? Because that is quite an adjustment playing at a level like this, which is considered better than AAA in some aspects. Moving to that level from playing single A, what do you think has been the biggest thing that you've gotten used to out there, or have had to get used to?
Definitely the other team's speed. They're like really quick out there, so got to adjust to that pretty quick.
What's that academy lifestyle been like for you? I mean, not just being able to play hockey, but going to school every single day, being able to use the gym anytime you want, just so many things that the academy offers. What's been that lifestyle like for you so far?
Yeah, we just have practice every morning, and then we just head to school with our bus driver Rod in there, and then do school for a few hours, go to Dryland, and then come home for dinner, and then early bedtime, and that's just repeat.
Are you getting billeted, I assume?
Yeah, I'm getting billeted by Brendan Kelly and Janet Kelly.
Right on. How's that experience been like so far? I guess I should ask you, is this your first time being billeted?
Yeah, it is my first time being away for hockey, being away for anything really. So yeah.
So what's that adjustment been like, being away from home, being away from the family to, pursue this opportunity that you've gotten with this academy in Pilot-Mound?
It's pretty tough being away from my hometown, but, I get to see them, I get to text them, I get to call them and all that. So yeah, it's pretty good.
Right on. Have you enjoyed, obviously tough being away from home, but have you enjoyed, meeting basically could be considered a second family at this point, getting to know some new people that are taking care of you?
Yeah, they're amazing people. They're really good cooks too. I mean, I got my brothers here, Hank and Adam here. So
Right on. Yeah, always nice to be able to get that nice cooking away from home. What's been your favorite meal so far?
Definitely Janet's pork chop and rice.
Oh, that sounds tasty. Janet must be cooking up some pretty good stuff. Of course, that being your favorite. But let's talk about your stats now, your season. I guess I should talk about, ask you what type of player you feel you are. Obviously being a defenseman, you played 15 total games, meaning like tournaments, exhibition, as well as CSSHL regular season games, just total games in terms of games like that. But 15 games, no goals, no assists for 0 points. But what type of player would you say you are out there? Would you say that you're more of that defensive defenseman out there? Who exactly is Landen May as a hockey player out there?
I think I'm a pretty I'm like you said, I'm a defensive player. I have a big body, so I got to use that. And I'm just feel like I'm fast out there. I'm competing. I'm taking the body, blocking shots, all that.
15 games in total played so far for yourself. Obviously a smaller sample size than the rest of the boys on the team, but Just talk about in the short amount of time you've had to develop in this league, how you feel like your development is coming along this season with Pilot-Mound.
I feel like my development has come a long way from start that I came here. So, our coaches are really helping me out here.
Obviously the team getting set to play in the playoffs now, soon coming up this weekend. Talk about, the hype coming up for, playoffs to be ready to start.
All the boys are pretty hyped. That's all they're talking about in school and stuff. So I think we're pretty, happy to be in the playoffs and stuff. So yeah.
Obviously this team struggled this season. I'm just trying to look up the stats that are here on the site, but this team struggled this season, no doubt about it, to win games consistently. But what have you noticed in this group, the way that this team plays, that you feel like this team could potentially give some teams fits in the playoffs here coming up?
We really like to play defensively, so we usually compete with like NAX and stuff, so that's pretty good. Even though they're like top of the league, we compete with them for 1 or 2 periods and stuff. So
yeah, and just taking a look at the games that you guys have played, I mean, the last 2 games against a team like Prairie Hockey Academy, you guys held them to. Did you guys what happened last weekend? I guess against Prairie Hockey Academy, did you guys end up winning those games?
We won our first game. It went into overtime 0-0. Yeah, 0-0, and then Bo Murray came and he just ripped it from the dots and went in.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I remember now. I talked to the goalie coach, Gordy Tummelson, about it. But nice for you guys to be able to get a win out of this past weekend. Talk about this past weekend, how the boys are feeling coming out of it, knowing that playoffs are on the horizon.
Yeah. Well, yeah, as I said, we're all hyped. We're all ready. We're all in good shape, all that. So I think it's going to be a good weekend. Hard to compete, but I think we got it.
How are you boys feeling about getting to go to a place like Penticton, BC to play against this competition? I mean, being able to play in a place like Penticton here coming up, a place that I guess is close to home for you rather than Pilot-Mound.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting. I got some family driving up right now as we speak, so it's going to be pretty cool that they come up and watch me in real life instead of on TV.
Yeah, has it been a while since that's been able to happen?
Yeah, it's been about 2 months coming up. Haven't been seen by my family or friends, but yeah.
Right on. It must be pretty exciting for you, knowing that you're going to be able to have that chance to not only play hockey in front of them in person, but also being able to reconnect with them after about 2 months here.
Yeah, it's gonna be really cool. Can't wait.
Obviously, playoffs coming up this weekend for this team. You guys will also have exhibition games coming up later this month. But what are you hoping to take out of this experience coming out this week? Win or lose in your first playoff run, I guess, potentially with this academy in Pilot-Mound.
Well, I think it's going to be a tough competition for sure, but if we just stay focused, stay like hyped up and stuff, I think we got it in the bag. I think we could win this playoffs.
Do you think having that underdog mentality coming in, being known as the underdogs coming in, could, potentially benefit this team, knowing that you guys have really nothing to lose coming in as the underdog into these playoffs? Just go out and play your game.
Yeah, we made up a new speech just a few days ago, I think it is. Yeah. And after that, we just been playing really good and all that. So, yeah.
Well, Landen, nice to know that you've enjoyed your time out in Pilot-Mound, Manitoba. Exciting that playoffs are going to be starting up for this program very soon here, coming up on March 13th. So coming up this weekend. You enjoy it. Playoffs, very special time of the year to be back playing playoff hockey. And, until we speak again here coming up in the future, Landen, you take care.
Yeah, you too, Graeme.
That was Landen May, one of the newest additions of the Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy U15 prep male program. And I'm pausing a bit because I feel like I'm going to hiccup. I feel like I'm going to burp. Actually, never burped in my life. That is a fun fact. I'm dropping that on the show for you guys tonight. But yeah, feeling feeling some, is it indigestion? I'm not too sure what the term is, but anyways, Landen May joining tonight's edition of Coffee with Graeme to talk about, his experience in Pilot-Mound so far. Great to know that he's had a positive experience so far. And for the U15 squad coming up on March 13th, so coming up this weekend on Sunday is when they start off their playoffs. They will be going up against the West Van Hockey Academy, same academy that Mr. Connor Bedard played at, so that's pretty cool. On March 14th, on Monday, they're supposed to be playing against St. George's, and then they will also be facing off against Prairie Hockey Academy coming up on March 15th. So exciting times for them. I don't believe they are actually in the actual playoffs, just looking at it at the U15 prep team standings for the playoffs. So only 12 teams ended up clinching. Take a look at it overall here. I want to take a look at, let's see. So yeah, just to fill you guys in. So there were 17 teams. So for the Buffaloes, they actually did not end up finishing in last place in the whole division. That was West Van, who had no wins on the season, and that's who the Buffaloes face off against first. But the Buffaloes finished in 16th. So every team after the 12th seeded team, the Shawnigan Lake School U15 prep team, did not clinch a playoff spot. So I assume that the Buffaloes will be playing in, they'll be playing in a consolation bracket type of style of playoffs this year. So see what this Buffaloes team can do here coming up this weekend. Looking to finish off their CSSHL portion of their season off strong. Of course, they got 2 exhibition games coming up later this month, but just got a message from David Zammit. He's going to be the next guest on the show. He will be coming on next to talk about the Swift Current Wildcats playoff series so far in the first round as they're facing off against the Battlefords Sharks. But what's on tap for the other teams in Pilot-Mound this weekend coming up? Well, I'll tell you guys, for the U17 program, they'll be facing off against the OHA Black team coming up on March 16th, so not until next week coming up. And they'll also be taking on, so that'll be on the 16th. They'll be taking on the Notre Dame Hounds on March 17th. And those games going at Penticton, BC, of course. And taking a look at the U18 female program, they will be starting off their playoffs coming up tomorrow against the Rink Kelowna team, Rink Hockey Academy Kelowna team, and they'll also be playing on March 12th, so on Saturday, against the Delta U18 squad, both games being in Penticton, of course, as that's where all the playoffs are. But yeah, coming up next in this episode, going to have David Zammit on the show. Also going to be finishing off this episode with an edition of League Report, taking a look at the MFHL, the upcoming games for their semifinal playoff matchups this weekend, as well as talking about the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League playoffs up until this point. Talking about the playoff series in the MMJHL, when those matchups will be going coming up this weekend. Also talking about the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, as I do know off the top of my head, the results are in already. Well, the game happened yesterday. The B Division Finals series has concluded. I'll have the winner for you guys coming up later on in League Reports, so stay tuned for that. Also going to be talking about the C Division Final series between Leo Remillard and John Taylor. Also going to be talking about the Winnipeg Women's High School Hockey League playoffs, how it's shaping up, and as well as the Manitoba AAA U18 Hockey League. But folks, I think I don't know what I'm going to do to get rid of this indigestion, but I'm going to try to do something here during this next commercial break coming up, hoping to have David Zammit on this edition of Coffee with Graeme. Up next, I know that he's getting ready to join the stream, so we'll have that for you coming up here on Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Stick around for more with me and David Zammit after this commercial break, everybody.
Welcome to Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy, your world-class academic and hockey training facility created to maximize each student's athletic and academic potential. Blackjack Stewart Arena, home of the Buffalo, is inside the 46,000 square foot complex, as well as a curling rink and other facilities. The students have a unique combination of successful, well-rounded education at Pilot-Mound Collegiate Institute and the professional hockey training in an encouraging community. The years of experience of on-ice coaching propel our students to the next level, both mentally and physically, in a professional environment.
Welcome back to Coffee with Graeme, everybody. David Zammit going to be joining the show up next year. He is currently not in the broadcast studio, so just awaiting his arrival before we start off this next interview with him. I spoke to Landen May, number 6 defenseman from the Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy, U15 Prep Male Buffaloes program. Landen from Campbell River, BC. Coming over to Pilot-Mound, Manitoba to play, thanks to captain of that team in Bo Murray with the connection he had there. So cool story to hear how Landen ended up getting on this Buffaloes squad. Of course, he said, gave him a call, and then they wanted him on the team. And yeah, like he said, a defensive defenseman has not put up any points this season in 15 total games played. But Landen, nice to know that the Buffaloes getting a defensive defenseman in him late in this season. But I also had a chance to speak to Blair Mooney earlier on in this episode. He was the first guest in tonight's episode, talking about his team as he is the head coach of the St. James Jr Canucks in the MMJHL. They finished their regular season with a phenomenal record of 37-4-4. They ended up winning the regular season championship trophy. But that is in the rearview mirror now. They get set to play playoffs coming up tomorrow against the Charleswood Hawks in their first round series. Special thanks to both of those guys for coming on the show here tonight. Don't have David Zammit in the broadcast studio as of yet. I'll take a look at what is going on. But yeah, David's going to come on here in a moment, I hope. I hope it doesn't take too much longer. But if it does, we'll wait for David to come on. He'll be coming on to talk about the Swift Current Wildcats. And Swift Current, if you viewers didn't know, is a team that we cover here on the network. They get us to cover their games, and David is the color commentator for them. And he's going to come on right now because he is in the broadcast studio to talk about the Swift Current 2-1 lead that they took yesterday, as well as the totality of the series so far. Here he is now, David Zammit, voice of the Swift Current Wildcats here on the network, color commentator. David, great to have you on the show, man. How are you doing on this Thursday evening?
Not too bad. Just coming off a game that we called here last night in Swift Current, and a game that Swift Current picked up the win in. Thanks for having me on, Graeme.
Yeah, great to have you on here, David. And I'm curious, I'm sure the viewers are as well, how you, we'll move away from the playoff series, talking about hockey here for just a moment, but how you got into this industry of calling games now with Swift Current, and just your background in this broadcasting industry.
Yeah, for sure. So I actually went to, I'm from Ontario. I went to school in Ontario, Loyalist College for photojournalism, and then I took a post-grad in sports journalism. So I actually got a bit of schooling on, we actually had a play-by-play class in the sports journalism. So kind of got lucky there. And then when I moved out to Swift Current in 2016, I did some color commentary for Swift Current Bronco games on the radio there. I did that for a couple of years, and then transitioned into actually their team photographer for a couple of years, including the year that they won the championship there back in 2018. And then Sean, who does the play-by-play, Sean Mullen, who did the play-by-play for the time for the Broncos, asked if I wanted to join the broadcast with the Wildcats, as we'd worked alongside each other in the broadcast booth a little bit when I came to Swift. So that's kind of how I got involved with the Wildcats broadcast and a bit of my background.
That's great to hear, and I love to get into more of it another day, but we'll ask you this one. I mean, how nice is it to be able to be reunited with Sean Mullen once again, being able to call these games this season with him, calling games in this female hockey league for Swift?
Yeah, it's really been a privilege to be reunited with Sean. He's honestly one of the great play-by-play announcers in junior hockey across the country. I know he was the Broncos play-by-play man for, I believe, 10 years. So lots of experience there. Before that, he was the Trail Smoke Eaters play-by-play. And I know he did some OHL stuff even before that as well. So he's kind of been all over the map. And now he's obviously the play-by-play guy for the Wildcats, or has been for the last couple of years. So he has a ton of experience behind the mic, and he really knows how to call a good game.
Well, yeah, great to be able to hear you guys doing the games pretty much all season long, as I've been producing the games this year, getting to sit back and watch and listen to the show. But let's get into the series now. Swift, the number 3 team in the league, finishing 3rd, facing off against the Battlefords Sharks, who finished 6th place. A close battle so far in the series, even though Swift is up 2-1. It was a scoreless first period yesterday. They ended up winning 4-0, but the Wildcats ended up taking game 1 after being down 1-0 heading into the 3rd period. They also lost game 2 as Battlefords tied up the series the next day. And the Wildcats able to pull through with a 4-0 win yesterday. Just your thoughts on this series so far out of the play from Swift and Battlefords?
It's really not what it looks like on paper. You have a Swift Current team that was kind of the top 3 teams, kind of ran away with it this year in the female league. Swift Current was maybe a little bit behind Regina and Notre Dame, but they'd beaten both teams in regular season competition, so they were right there. They had a couple of losses early in the season that maybe they would have liked to have back, and that might have had them right there with Regina and Notre Dame up in the 70-point range. However, they were down at 50, 59 because they had a couple of losses early on. They really turned it around after a trio of losses there in December, and Swift Current really went on a run, winning 11 of their last 13 games going into the playoffs. So they were certainly primed, whereas you had a Battlefords team that was entering the playoffs. I believe they dropped 13 of their last 14 games. So 2 teams headed in the absolute opposite direction. However, the Battlefords didn't play their top netminder, I believe, the last 4 or 5 games in the regular season. And Emma Backman has been absolutely sensational in this series. And perhaps the only reason why the Sharks were able to grab that game back at home, 2-1 game in game 2. But the series has been really interesting. And I say that because game 1 and game 2 were very similar. Swift Current fell behind early. Game 1, they were able to dig themselves out of that hole in the 3rd period with a trio of goals, a pair from their defense core, which is kind of unusual for them. And then up in the Battlefords, they were only able to get 1 back in the 3rd period. So kind of scoring late after giving up early goals in both of those games. They gave up 2 power play goals in the second game that they lost 2-1, and they gave up an early goal in the first period in game 1. However, last night was very much more like how Swift Current plays consistently, or has played throughout the season. They push the pace, they attack on the forecheck, And when they get the forecheck going, they really capitalize on that. They wear teams down defensively. They eventually start to break down. The other teams start to break down, and Swift Current is able to get a pile of chances really out of that. And that's kind of what happened last night. They scored some pretty good goals. And their top six really stepped up. They'd only had one goal from their top six forward group in the first two games, and that was Lake and Swan in the second game to get it to a 2-1 score. But last night you had a goal from their captain to open the scoring midway through the second period. Then that was followed up pretty closely by Kiana McNinch, who's on that top line with Ava Metzger, who's their captain. So you get two goals from your top line right there. And then it was a pretty tight game coming down the stretch. I mean, Battleford had a couple of chances, but Aurora Van Warmer, the veteran goaltender for the Wildcats, her first start of the playoff series, and she was spectacular in net, stopping all 22 shots she faced. But she made a couple of great saves to keep Swift Current up 2-0. And then Jersey Watain on the second line for Swift Current was able to ice it, not only ice it, but add some more insurance after that about 23 seconds later on a breakaway with, I believe, 39 seconds left in the game to put Swift Current up by the 4-0 score that it ended up being.
Just taking a look at these two teams, just looking at the head-to-head on the Saskatchewan female U18 AAA Hockey League website, like this was a team that Swift had a lot of success against this season. 4-1, 16 goals for, 4 goals against given up to Battleford. So definitely Battleford's proven that regular season, when it comes down to it, might not matter as much as we may think sometimes with how close the series has been.
I completely agree there. And I think, and one thing sometimes I even get guilty of overlooking is how much does experience actually matter? And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it's showing itself right here. Neither team has experience in this kind of situation. I mean, last year, both teams played a couple games and the season was wiped out. So no playoffs for either team there. And then you go back the season before that, and I think Swift Current only got 2 games into their playoff run. So, I mean, both these teams have no playoff experience. And then we've seen it a flurry of times across any league where if you have strong goaltending come playoff time and you can play a somewhat structured defensive game in front of that, a couple goals in a game can win you the game and potentially get you started in the series. And Battleford's has that belief, obviously, after winning back home there the other night, 2-1. Swift Current was able to kind of thwart that and grab the series edge back up 2-1 here. But Emma Backman has been, like I said, really good in this series, and we should expect that because her numbers coming in were really good. However, like Wildcats head coach Terry Pavley's told us a number of times, Swift Current's goaltending is just as good, if not better, numbers-wise at least this season. So as much as it is something you have to watch for on the other end and figure out ways to score, it's not like Swift Current doesn't have great goaltending, whether they go with Lehner or Van Warmer in net on this end.
One thing that was a theme throughout the first 2 games, and you guys talked about it, you and Sean on the broadcast, was just the first period. Swift in that first game gave up 1 goal. In the first period, they gave up 2 goals in the second game. Of course, that was the game that they dropped, but they also struggled to outshoot Battlefords in those first 2 games in this particular period. In the first 20 minutes, it was 8-8 in shots in game 1, and Battlefords actually had the advantage 13-8 in game 2 in that period, the game that they won. Swift able to not score in that period yesterday in the first, but get more shots this time around. Your thoughts just on that start for Swift yesterday? Do you feel like that was a huge key in their game to be able to have a stronger first period that time around?
Yeah, and it wasn't even that they came out of the period leading. It was that they didn't give up a goal in the first period. And that might sound crazy, but they've been chasing the series for the majority of it. I mean, all 4 of their goals to that point had all come in the third period, where they'd given up early goals in both the games that they'd played. So instead of not having to chase the game, you're dictating the game a little bit more. And we certainly saw that in the first 5 minutes of yesterday's game. It was all Swift Current until they took a penalty. Battleford's got some chances on that power play, but weren't able to capitalize. Battleford's got a little bit more momentum there, but Swift Current kind of swung that back, and it was more of a neutral period for the rest of it. However, Swift Current came out in the second, and it was like they were shot out of a cannon. They had a pile of chances to start, obviously capitalized on the Metzger rebound when Swan drove the net, and then just a few minutes later, Kiana McNinch let a wrister go that beat Backman, maybe a goal that Backman would like back, especially with her caliber of play. And Swift Current was able to kind of hold on from there, get some key stops from Van Wormer, and then obviously Jersey Watain was able to kind of pile on with a pair of goals there late in the third period.
Aurora Van Wormer ended up playing her first game of the playoffs yesterday. Leonard ended up getting the first 2 starts of the series. How impressed were you by her performance? I mean, you've spoken about it, touched on it already, but just putting into words how impressed you were with Van Wormer coming into a pressured situation like that, who hasn't played a playoff game in a very long time, or I don't think even ever, because she was a rookie last season.
Yep.
Just her ability to stay cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah, sorry, Graeme. She'd only had 1 start actually with the Wildcats last season, and why that is because they had a veteran goaltender returning who went off to I believe it was Nova Scotia for university this year, but really good goaltender, and Amaya Giroje, and she had great numbers going into last season, and she played the lion's share of games. But Van Wormer from Swift Current, so playing in her hometown, had a really good season and was actually the goaltender that solved Notre Dame down the stretch, as Swift Current was able to beat them a couple of weeks back. But like you said, she was fantastic last night. And there's one instance where I thought she made some critical saves. It was late in the second period. Battlefords had 3 shots within quick succession of each other, all right on the doorstep, and she stopped them with her pads. There was another chance where the Battlefords had a partial break, and she kind of got caught going for the poke check, but she was still able to make the pad save there. Any one of those go in, and the game gets a lot more interesting. But having a 0 on the board certainly helped Swift Current, certainly gave them a lot of confidence. It'll be honestly interesting to see which way Terry Pavley goes in Game 4 with his goaltending, because I know he's spoken a few times and said that he doesn't want either goaltender rusty, because he said if they're going to go on a run and they're going to win this, he needs both goaltenders, like he's had all season long, ready to go.
Yeah, and you look at how high-powered of an offense that Regina has, as well as Notre Dame. Not saying that Swift doesn't have a very good offense, but just looking at the numbers, them being in triple digits compared to Swift having 96, I mean, these offenses are going to be stellar, and you're right, and Pavley is right. He knows his team better than anyone. You need that good goaltending depth to be able to go far in playoffs. I mean, we've seen goaltending be able to win playoff series so many times, and Swift has 2 pretty darn good goaltenders in Van Wormer and Leonard this season. But talking about the struggles offensively in the first 2 games for Swift, only 4 goals combined in those first 2 games. Well, they matched that total in 1 game yesterday with 4 goals. Just talk about how nice it was to see this offense come to play as the game went along to be able to score 4.
Yeah, and they're an interesting team because they had a really good record this season, but they played in a pile of close games, which is interesting for a team that's really good, and they win the majority of the nights, but they almost thrive in those close games. So when you get into playoffs, you'd think they're used to those kind of games, but when you play those kind of games, they can go either way. So to see them break out for 4 goals, all 4 of them coming from their top 6, and arguably their 3 top scorers, basically. I mean, aside from Sadie Keller, but Jersey Watain led the team with 20 goals this season, so she got on the board twice in the third period. Kiana McNinch was second in scoring for the team. She found the back of the net, her first point of the series. And I mean, Ava Metzger has been absolute money in the bank for Swift Current to start this series. She's got 5 points in 3 games, so another goal yesterday, and I know she was racking up the assists, so that certainly helps. Helps the Wildcats, reclaim that lead 2-1, and seeing a team that maybe was at times playing on the perimeter in the first 2 games. And that's something that McNinch said to me after the game when I interviewed her, is that she said they spoke before the game, especially the top line of her, Ava Metzger, and Lake and Swan, that they needed to play in the middle of the ice a bit more, get away from the perimeter game, and they needed to get some traffic in front of backmen and maybe get some second chance goals. And that's what happened on the Metzger goal that opened the scoring. It was Swan that drove the net. The puck came off of Backman's right pad into the slot area, and Ava Metzger made no mistake finding the back of the net.
Speaking about Backman, we'll talk about her even more now. She's been phenomenal this playoff series. I think I agree with you 100% there that she has been the biggest reason why Battlefords has been able to be in this, making the types of saves that she's been able to have. She ended up letting in 3 yesterday. One of them was an empty net goal, but just Emma Backman, I mean, if any goalie can potentially steal a series, you'd have to think it would be her with the type of season that she's had, the numbers she's put up. How impressive has it truly been to sit back in these 2 games that you've been able to watch in person and see the performances that she's been able to have?
Yeah, the performances, I mean, just kind of reassure us of why she's headed to the U of S in the fall. She's been nothing short of spectacular. And like you said, the reason why the Sharks are arguably in the series. I mean, obviously the team has to score some goals as well, but when you get stout goaltending like that, it's tough for a team to beat you at times. Yesterday's game, even though, like you said, she let in 3 goals, she wasn't the reason they lost. They needed obviously a bit more offensively, and they weren't able to solve Van Warmer. But I'd expect that play to continue. To be honest, her numbers show that she was spectacular all season, and they rested her down the stretch, knowing that they were going to run her out there every game in this series. Not that their backup goaltender and ends isn't an option, but Backman is just so good, especially on a, I don't want to say bottom-seeded team, but they are. You don't see a lot of bottom-seeded teams with a top-end goaltender like this, and she's really carried them to this point. And just to go back on the regular season, she was actually in net in Swift Current when Swift Current lost 3-2 in the regular season way back early on, and she was spectacular in that game as well. So it wasn't like we hadn't seen her be good and sort of neutralize the Swift Current offense.
Yeah, you need something special to be able to beat a team like Swift Current, as good as they've been all season. Emma Backman definitely has to be the reason for Battlefords if they want any type of success to try to continue into the playoffs. But overall, I mean, obviously it comes down to a large part of their success being due to goaltending. But what have you seen from the rest of this Battleford Sharks team that you think that they can use to their advantage heading into a potential deciding Game 4 and a potential deciding Game 5 for the rest of the series?
Their compete level is spectacular, to be honest. They don't give up, and they're just battling. They're always fighting for the puck. They might not be the more skilled team, but that doesn't let them that doesn't bother them at all. They just battle for the puck, and then when they get the puck, they try and set up plays. They're maybe not the most offensively gifted group, but they certainly work, and they certainly create chances just by working. They have a defenseman in Ava Cole who really moves the puck really well. She's a really smooth skating defenseman, can get out of the zone pretty easy, break it out for them. She scored a goal in the first game. And Lacey Schneider scored a pair on the power play in Battlefords to help them win Game 2. So, I mean, they do have some offensive weapons that have been able to create and step up when they've needed them. So, great goaltending combined with some timely scoring has certainly kept them around in this series. And there's no reason to doubt that they don't have a chance at Game 4 back home. And I know a lot of people say this and a lot of coaches say this. You're never in trouble until you lose a home game in a playoff series or until you're down to the last game of the series in a sudden death.
So for Swift, if they win coming up on Saturday, as that's where when Game 4 will be played, they'll move into the semis. But if Battlefords wins, they force a Game 5 that will be played here on the network on Sunday night at Fairview Arena at 7:45. Another thing that I've always heard is the last game you need to win of a series is always the hardest game to win. For Swift, they got that coming up this weekend on Saturday. You know, what do you think Swift's mindset needs to be heading into this one? Looking to close off the series, not trying to give this Battlefords team any more hope than they might think they already have.
If you're Swift Current, you need to come out like you did in Game 3 and play the first 5 minutes like it's your last 5 minutes. Really push the tempo, really push the pace on the Sharks. Building on that, don't let maybe the demons of Game 2 enter your head where you fall behind a pair of goals early, and then maybe it seems like a bit of a daunting task to dig your way out. I think Swift Current certainly has the weapons to make this happen and move into the second round. And, I mean, there's no reason why they can't, but Battlefords will always have a chance, especially with Backman and net, and if they get some timely scoring.
Well, it will be interesting to see if Battlefords can extend the series to a Game 5. If there is a Game 5, David Zammit will be on color, and Sean Mullen will be on play-by-play for that all-deciding Game 5, if it does get to that point. But if Swift moves on, they go to the semis. If they don't win, it's Game 5 on Sunday night here on ASTV. David Zammit, color commentator for the Swift current Wildcats here on ASTV Productions, joining Coffee with Graeme. Great to do this with you, David, and maybe we'll do it again when if Swift is able to move past this round in the playoffs. Looking forward to the next playoff rounds, but you take care, and we'll see you soon, David.
Appreciate you having me on, Graeme. Thanks.
Of course, take care. Well, it's great getting to talk with David here tonight on the show. That is going to conclude the interview portion of this episode. Over an hour and 5 minutes of content for you guys so far, coming up on an hour and 6 minutes. And it's currently 9:07 p.m. We have about, let's see here. Well, started the show just a bit late, was just sorting things out with getting the guest into the studio. But yeah, we got just about 50 minutes left in this broadcast here tonight. Coming up on this episode, this edition of Coffee with Graeme, is League Report. Well, I'll be taking a look at the MFHL, the upcoming games in that league, as well as the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League, the MMJHL, as well as many other leagues here. Coming up on tonight's edition of League Report on Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Stick around for more after this commercial break. Welcome back to Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions, everybody. David Zammit, color commentator of the Swift current Wildcats and the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League, joined the show here on the network to talk about their first round series here so far against the Battlefords Sharks. Swift currently up 2-1 in that series. But just to clarify something, I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the intro of tonight's episode, in the opening of tonight's episode, but got a different background here tonight. Looks like I'm at an ODR, as you can see the outdoor rink here in the background. Reason I'm using this background tonight, I found out that most of the images that we've been using, well, all the images that I've been using here on the green screen in the background have been pretty low resolution. This one is high resolution. It looks that way as well. So hopefully you guys enjoy the background, looking to get some nice high resolution backgrounds, more than this one, into the rotation of the backgrounds I use here on the green screen on not only this show, Coffee with Graeme, but my other shows as well. But let's get into tonight's edition of League Report now, everybody. 1 second here. I got to load up the not the episodes, the websites here. We'll see what is happening. So we'll start off with our female hockey coverage here. Actually, to start off for League Report, taking a look at the MFHL, the SFU18 AAAHL, as well as the WWHSHL. So 2 AAA leagues and 1 high school hockey league in women's hockey here to talk about on tonight's show. So let's take a look at the MFHL to start things off here on League Report. And what I'm going to do here is share the screen. And then we'll take a look at how this looks. So space it out just a bit more. Or I guess stretch it out a bit more is what I should say. But yeah, there we go. So taking a look at it, the number 1 seeded Winnipeg Avros will be resuming their playoff series tomorrow for game 3, tied up with the Winnipeg Ice right now, who is the 4th place team, finished in 4th in the league this season. 2 Winnipeg teams going at it at Seven Oaks Arena tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. Winner of this game tomorrow in this series will go up that all-important 2-1 series score. And depending on which team ends up winning this game, game 4 will be happening no matter what, since the series is tied at 1 and it is best of 5. But the Avros will be at the Winnipeg MTS Iceplex, or the Bell MTS Iceplex, I think it's called. I don't know why it's saying Winnipeg MTS Iceplex, but they will be there coming up on 1:30 p.m. on Sunday for that game 4 against the Winnipeg Ice. Taking a look at the Yellowhead Chiefs and Westman Wildcats. Westman will be going to Shoal Lake on Saturday night to play against Yellowhead, 7:30 p.m. That series is tied up at 1 apiece. And game 4 for that series will go on Monday night in Hartney at 7:30 p.m. Now, let's say that both of these series go the distance. Well, then that means the next time that these two teams would be playing, if it does go to game 5, would not be until next Saturday on March 19th. And it would be a 4 p.m. game for the Avros at home against the Ice at Seven Oaks Arena, and a 7:30 p.m. puck drop for the Yellowhead Chiefs at home at Shoal Lake against the Westman Wildcats. Taking a look at the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League now. Taking a look at the playoffs, everybody, in terms of what has been happening since the last time we talked about it. We will talk about Wednesday's matchups. So the first round still going here in the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League, and it was the Saskatoon Stars winning 3-2 over the Prince Albert Northern Bears. So for Saskatoon, they got 1, 2, 3 wins. So they are on to the next round here. Saskatoon could potentially be facing off against the number 1 seeded Notre Dame Hounds, depending on what happens in the Battlefords Swift Current series, as well as in the Regina and Weyburn series. But Saskatoon won 3-2 in a close one to sweep Prince Albert last night. They're moving on to the next round. Congratulations to the ladies on the Saskatoon Stars for that. Of course, the Swift Current Wildcats, a game that was seen and could be seen on the network last night. You can still go back and watch it if you want anywhere you find our broadcasts here on ASTV, but Swift Current able to win 4-0. Their next game will be played coming up on Saturday at 7:30 p.m. at the Battleford Arena. Swift looking to move on into the next round, where they would face off against the Regina Rebels potentially. And for the Regina Rebels, they're looking to finish off their series tonight, as the puck has already dropped in that game over an hour ago. Weyburn on the ropes, looking to find a miracle here against Regina, but it will be tough. And if Regina ends up losing that game, well, they would be back in action next week on Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. at Crescent Point Place in Weyburn. And if somehow Weyburn would be able to extend it to 5 games, well, the next game of that series would go next week on Wednesday at 8 p.m. in Regina. And for the Swift Current series, if they end up losing against Battlefords on Saturday night, well, they would play just over 24 hours later back at home for game 5 at Fairview Arena. So we'll be interested to see what happens in the first round action in this league. I just noticed that I had the MFHL logo up here in the background. Time to switch now and get back to the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League website. But yeah, taking a look at the statistics right now, in this league. Let's see how much these have changed. So it is still Kira Buziak leading the Saskatchewan female U18 AAA Hockey League playoffs with 8 points at this point, 7 assists to her total. Avery Barros with 6 goals, no assists, which is very impressive to see. Alexis Petford having a solid series for herself right now. Sage Babby as well, and Ali Gerard. Will not be going in depth into all of the goals leaders, assist leaders, stuff like that. That will be for Tuesday's edition of Coffee with Graeme coming up after the weekend. But taking a look at the goalie leaders. See, I won't show you guys this because they only got 2 goalie stats recorded in Emma Backman and Paige Fisher. So yeah, once they do have better stats here on the website for that league, we'll be able to show you guys that. Coming up here. Yeah, let's dive in now into the Winnipeg Women's High School Hockey League playoff action. Going into the CTV Division 1 playoff action. So on March 8th, on Tuesday, at 3:30 p.m., it was the CJS Olympians winning 5-0 over the Vincent Massey Trojans. Game 2 of this series went today at 3:45 p.m. with Vincent Massey at home. They are on the ropes. A good underdog story for them in these playoffs as they were able to beat St. Mary's Academy, who was the second place team in this division. So can Vincent Massey do it again and come back after being down 1-0 in their playoff series? As in their last series, they were down 1-0 and actually lost in a shutout in the first game. Not by as big of a score, but by 3-0. So that is interesting in itself. So let's see if Vincent Massey was able to win. If they were able to win, Game 3 will go tomorrow at Dakota Community Center between the Olympians and the Vincent Massey Trojans, but we'll have to wait and find out. And speaking of close series, well, the J.H. Bruns Broncos, who ended up finishing in 3rd place, taking on the 4th place Leo Remillard Renards. This is a close series so far, folks, as Leo Remillard was able to win 4-3 in OT back on Monday. And yeah, they were able to beat J.H. Bruns, put them on the ropes with an OT win, but J.H. Bruns said not so fast. We'll make this one a series, winning 3-0 yesterday. Game 3 of that series going tomorrow at the Southdale Community Center on the West Rink. Winner of that series punches their ticket into next week's championship series. Let's take a look at the Division 2 now, the Winnipeg Free Press Division. And moving into the semifinals, which ended up starting yesterday. And it is, let's take a look. So, taking a look at it here. I don't know why I'm struggling here. Okay. So, Sturgeon Heights, the underdog coming into this series, as you can see here, against the Sanford Sabres. Sanford ended up finishing as the number 1 seed in this league, and it was Sanford winning in a close 2-1 game in Game 1 yesterday. Game 2 went today, so Sanford having a chance to potentially, go through to the next round. They're looking at the Garden City Gophers and PCI Trojans. Well, Garden City coming into this matchup was the 2nd place team in the league, and they still would have been no matter what. But they are the 2nd place team in the league, facing off against the 4th place team in the league in the PCI Saints. I said PCI Trojans earlier. I meant PCI Saints. I'm getting that mixed up with Zone 4 high school hockey. But yeah, the Garden City Gophers with a 2-1 shootout win. Game 2 of that series went today. Results have not come in yet. And if PCI is able to extend the series, Game 3 will be going on Friday, coming up tomorrow at 4 p.m. at Seven Oaks Arena. Taking a look now at the Division 3 higher marketing. And we'll go back here and dive into it now. So it is the taking a look at it. The Glenlawn Lions, number 1 seed, losing 2-1 to the WKC Wolverines on March 8th. So on Tuesday. Game 2 went tonight. The results are not in yet. Could WKC be very well pulling off the upset? Well, we'll have to wait and find out coming up on Tuesday's edition of Coffee with Graeme next week. Talking about Murdoch McKay, they are the higher-ranked team in the series, and they were able to pull off a close one, 4-3 win over the Lorette Scorpions in OT yesterday. Game 2 going tonight at the Lorette, not tonight, but went earlier today at the Lorette Community Complex. Results still not in, so we will have to wait and see what happens in this series coming up on Tuesday's edition of Coffee with Graeme next week. Now it is time to move away from just the share screen for just a bit here. And now go into the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, as I do have some updates for you all here. I'm just going to take a look here at their Twitter, as that's where they post all the scores. So the A division wrapped up. The A division ended up wrapping up last time that I talked on March 3rd. And it was, of course, St. Paul's 1 being able to win against Westwood 6-1 in that one. But for the B division finals, it was the defending champion College Belleville Barracudas squaring off against the Sanford team. And for Sanford, this team this season was ranked higher than Belleville, I believe. That was the case because of their win percentage. They weren't able to play as many games. But it was this Sanford team able to win over this College Belleville Barracudas team in the championship, spoiling Belleville's quest for back-to-back championships as a school, as Springfield was able to win it 5-1. Congratulations to Springfield for taking home this year's B Division championship trophy. In the C Division, well, it was much closer in terms of the score in the final game. Leo Remillard going up against John Taylor, the two top teams in the C Division all season long, and John Taylor was not going to go down without a fight, and they did not, but it was Leo Remillard who proved to be too much in overtime for this John Taylor team, winning 3-2 and securing another championship for the school. So that is going to do it for the high school hockey portion of things. It is time now. See, I've covered the MFHL, the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League, or the SFHL, as I should be calling it for short. Covered the Winnipeg Women's High School Hockey League, the Winnipeg High School Hockey League. So that only leaves, since there's no more Zone 4 high school hockey stuff to report, since the finals have concluded there and PCI was able to take it home. But yes, that leaves now the MMJHL and the Manitoba AAA U18 Hockey League to talk about. And I'll talk about the MMJHL first. And we will go through what is happening in the league right now. And I will be showing you guys the standings here to start off, just to give you a refresher on where these teams are sitting heading into the playoffs. So zoom into the screen a bit more. Okay, as you can see here, so the St. James Jr Canucks are in first place, finishing off the season in first place as the regular season champions. They will be going up against the Charleswood Hawks who finish in 8th place. Transcona finishing in 2nd place will be taking on the River East Royal Knights in their first round playoff series. The Pembina Valley Twisters finishing in 3rd, taking on the Fort Garry Twins in their first round playoff series. And the St. Vital Junior Victorias taking on the Raiders Junior Hockey Club, the 4-5 matchup in the quarterfinals. And, taking a look at it, quite a difference in terms of how far away in terms of up there in the standings St. Vital is compared to the Raiders Junior Hockey Club. So the top 4 teams in this playoffs having quite a bit more points than the Raiders Junior Hockey Club, Fort Garry Twins, as well as the River East Royal Knights and Charleswood Hawks. The 2 teams that did not end up making the playoffs and missed were the Stonewall Jets and the St. Boniface Riels. But taking a look at the statistics leaders in the league this season, some congratulations all around here going out to many players coming up. So in terms of the league's point leader for the season as it concluded, congratulations to TJ Matsiushevsky of the Pembina Valley Twisters for putting up 91 points in 45 games played, a 2.02 points per game average. Very impressive stuff there from you, TJ. Congratulations. Also, congratulations to the rest of the top 5 in points. In Curtis Luke with 84 points, Connor Grunston with 75 points, Tyrone Willen with 68 points, and Rory Neal with 64 points, as those 5 are official in rounding out the top 5 point leaders in the MMJHL this season. In terms of the goal leaders, congratulations to TJ, once again, Matsiushevsky for leading the league in goals. Although he did not have the best goals per game average in the league, still huge for him. Curtis Luke, I believe, had the best goals per game average, only playing 40 games, finishing 1 goal behind TJ Matsiushevsky. But congratulations to TJ Matsiushevsky for bringing home that title, as well as congratulations to, once again, Curtis Luke, Nathan Ayotte, Ashton Romanek, and Connor Grunston and as well as Griffin Height for rounding out the top 5 in goals this season. Taking a look now at the assist leaders. Well, once again, congratulations to TJ Matsiushevsky for finishing in the lead for assists in this league with 52 assists. 6 more assists than Curtis Luke. Congratulations to him once again, as well as to Connor Grunston once again, as well as Rory Neal once again, and to Tyrone Willen once again for rounding out the top 5 in that category. Now let's take a look at one more thing here before we get into the schedule for the playoff matchups. The goaltending leaders this season. Well, we'll go with wins. Congratulations to Noah Gilbert for picking up the most wins out of any goaltender this season with 23 wins in 31 games played. Dylan Arnold, Justin Powers, and Miles Minor all tied with 17 wins, and then rounding out the top 5 there in Logan Enns with 16. Also, congratulations to Liam Johnson for finishing with a perfect 14-0 record. That is absolutely insane. In terms of the shutout king this season, well, Dylan Arnold and Miles Minor both finishing with the most shutouts with 3 each. And in terms of who had the best save percentage, well, that technically did go to Dylan Arnold once again. Looking at it, there is a player above him, but he doesn't play goal. As you can see, it shows he's number 0. I guess he does play goal. Played for 1 game, 22 minutes, so didn't play a full game at that. But congratulations to Dylan Arnold for finishing with the best save percentage in the league, really, out of any goaltender, with a .930 save percentage once again this season. What a career he's been having in the MMJHL for himself at this point. But taking a look, going back to the homepage here, what is going on right now? Playoffs have started tonight in the league, and it's the St. Vital Junior Victorias at home at the St. Vital Centennial Arena. puck drop for this game at 7:45. And as you can see by the score here, St. Vital was down 3-2 heading into the second period. But the Junior Victoria is able to gain the lead now with 3 goals in the second period to the Raiders Junior Hockey Club's 1. And it's 5-4 currently for St. Vital in this game 1 of their quarterfinal series in the first round against the Raiders Junior Hockey Club. Coming up tomorrow, we got a triple header on tap in the MMJHL, starting off at 7:45 p.m. at Keith Bodley Arena. It's the St. James Jr Canucks going to be at home against the Charleswood Hawks. 7:45 is when puck drop is for that game tomorrow night. And then the 2 8 p.m. games, one in Morris, Manitoba at the Morris Multiplex. The Pembina Valley Twisters at home taking on the Fort Garry Twins. The 3-seeded Twisters going up against the Fort Garry Twins, who finished with the 6th seed. The number 2 seeded Transcona Railer Express taking on the River East Royal Knights, the 7th seeded team in the league, at the East End Arena at Ed Golding, the East End Arena there at 8 p.m. Taking a look at Sunday's action, well, there will be a quadruple header. The St. Vital Junior Victorias, after having the day off tomorrow, are going to be back in action on Sunday, 5 minutes before 2 at 1:55 p.m. is when puck will drop for that game. For the Transcona Railer Express on Sunday, they'll be at Terry Sawchuk Arena in Game 2 to face off against the River East Royal Knights. For the that goes at 7:30. The Pembina Valley Twisters will be in Winnipeg at Century Arena at 7:30 p.m. for their puck drop in their Game 2 against the Fort Garry Twins. And the St. James Jr Canucks traveling away from their home arena to go to Eric Coy Arena to take on the Charleswood Hawks in the second game of that series. We'll have updates on those playoff games and the upcoming matchups in the playoffs in the MMJHL coming up next week on Tuesday. It's time now to take a look at the Manitoba AAA Hockey League. And we'll have to switch up the logo in the corner here before we do that. And we can get started here very soon. Just trying to find... I think I go schedule is how I get to it. And then standings. So in this league, there hasn't been any games that have been played since Sunday, actually. And the one game that was played, if you do remember, was Yellowhead winning 4-2 over Parkland. So all 8 teams have had some time to rest, and they'll be back at it tomorrow. All 4 series will be in action. We'll have the Winnipeg Wild at home to take on the Winnipeg Thrashers at the Bell Empty Iceplex. 7 p.m. is when that game will be starting. The Winnipeg Bruins will be facing off against the Eastman Selects coming up at 7 p.m. tomorrow. The Southwest Cougars taking on the Brandon Wheat Kings hockey team tomorrow at the JNG Homes Arena at 7:30 p.m. And the Parkland Rangers, I believe that's what their name is, taking on the Yellowhead Chiefs at the Shoal Lake Recreation, Recreation Complex in Shoal Lake, Manitoba at 7:30 p.m. All 4 teams will have a day off on Saturday before they get back to it on Sunday. And then if, there's some more games to be played those would be on Friday. But you can take a look here at the standings. It is Brandon, Eastman, and the Wild all with 2 wins. Parkland and Yellowhead with one win each. And the Winnipeg Thrashers, Winnipeg Bruins, and Southwest Cougars all still looking for their first wins of the playoffs. But we'll have to do it quick, because if they lose the next game, season is over, just like that. So I was going to do it for tonight's edition of League Report, everybody. Coming up after the commercial break, I end off tonight's edition of Coffee with Graeme with some final words here. You're watching Coffee with Graeme here on ASTV Productions. Stick around, of course, for more after this commercial break, everybody. Welcome back to Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. This will conclude tonight's edition of the show. Before I let you all go, though, on this Thursday night, I want to thank you all for tuning in to tonight's edition of Coffee with Graeme. Always great to have viewers tuning in live. With the way we broadcast now, I'm unable to see comments, so if you were dropping comments, thanks so much for that. Assuming they were positive comments and nothing inappropriate was said. That's happened sometimes, but I assume that there's nothing but non-inappropriate comments in it. I kid, but special thanks to the viewers for tuning in tonight. Always great to see the numbers afterwards. Excited for that, but also special thanks to the viewers in tonight's not the viewers, the guests, the people. Yes, the people who joined tonight's episode. And Blair Mooney, head coach for the St. James Jr Canucks. David Zammit of the Swift Current Wildcats, color commentator for the Swift Current Wildcats of ASTV Productions, for coming on tonight's episode as well. And also special thanks to Landen May, defenseman for the Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy U15 Prep Male Buffaloes program. Also want to give a thanks to the sponsors of tonight's episode in AETI, Case Financial Group, Evolve Green, Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy, and Toby Hockey. Coffee with Graeme will be coming to you live next week on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time. Be sure to catch it on our Facebook at ASTV Productions, on our Twitter at Amateur Sports TV, or you can check it out on our website at astvproductions.com, or you can also search up amateursports.tv. Go into our sports show tab, and then you can scroll down and find this show, Coffee with Graeme, along with any other show or shows you want to check out here on the network. But the guest list for Coffee with Graeme for Tuesday will be released on Monday night on our social media platforms such as Instagram at ASTV Productions, as well as our Facebook and our Twitter is where you can find who or what the guest list will consist of, the people who will be in the guest list for Tuesday morning's edition of Coffee with Graeme. But folks, it's been a blast here as always on our Thursday night editions of Coffee with Graeme. I've been your host of Coffee with Graeme, as always, Graeme Forsyth, giving you the salute and the peace out on this Thursday night. Until next week on Tuesday morning, folks, when I see you all again, then have a wonderful rest of your Thursday night. Have a wonderful Friday tomorrow. Have a great weekend as well. Stay safe out there. And until Tuesday morning, everybody, at 10 a.m. Central Time, when I see you again, take care. Have a good one. Peace out. Bye, everybody.